Fear and doubt have kept more men and women from realizing their true potential than any lack of talent, opportunity, or education. These two unseen forces are like shadows cast across the path of success. They whisper when you hesitate, they grow when you avoid, and they anchor you in place when life demands that you move forward. The strange truth about fear is that it is rarely rooted in reality. Fear lives in the imagination, in the pictures we paint of what might go wrong. Doubt is its twin, eroding confidence, questioning every step, and convincing us that perhaps we are not ready, not capable, not worthy. Yet history reveals the opposite, that ordinary people, by mastering their minds, have overcome odds far greater than their fears. Every invention, every enterprise, every leap forward in human progress was carried out by men and women who felt the weight of fear but refused to let it dictate their actions. When we examine fear closely, we find it is simply faith turned upside down. It is faith in failure, faith in loss, faith in suffering that has not yet occurred. It is a misuse of the same mental faculty that could be turned toward faith in success, faith in growth, faith in possibility. Doubt is the natural offspring of such thinking, casting suspicion on our abilities, diminishing our courage, and persuading us to play small in a world that rewards those who dare. The mind becomes a battleground between what we know to be possible and what our anxieties project into the future. This battle is not fought with swords or machines, it is fought in the quiet chambers of thought, where you alone must decide which voices you will obey. Fear and doubt will always speak. Your task is to train your mind to listen to higher truths. If you wish to master fear and doubt, you must first understand how they work. Both are born of uncertainty, of not having made a definite decision. The man without a goal is most vulnerable to fear, for every road looks dangerous when you don't know where you are going. The woman without a vision doubts her ability because she has not clarified her desire. Clarity itself is the antidote. When you decide clearly what you want, when you fix it in your mind and impress it upon your heart, fear begins to dissolve, and doubt loses its grip. For nothing strengthens a mind like direction. And so the first step in training your mind to overcome fear and doubt is to write down in clear and specific words what you truly want. Not what you hope might happen, not what others suggest for you, but what you truly desire. A written goal becomes a compass, and with a compass in hand, the unknown road becomes navigable. Once you have that compass, the next discipline is to take action immediately. Action is the great dispeller of fear. Think of the times you have dreaded a conversation, a task, or an obligation. The hours or days spent in anticipation were far worse than the act itself. The moment you began, the weight began to lift. Why? Because fear thrives in hesitation, in the empty space where imagination exaggerates. Action shrinks fear to its actual size, and in most cases you find it was never as threatening as it seemed. This is why I tell people to act now, even in small ways. Write the letter, make the call, open the book, take the first step. Each action reinforces your belief in yourself, and with belief, doubt has no room to live. Consider how the mind responds to repetition. If you continually tell yourself you are afraid, your nervous system will obey, and your body will manifest tension, trembling, and anxiety. But if you affirm with conviction, I am strong, I am calm, I am capable, your body will likewise obey, standing taller, breathing steadier, performing with greater assurance. This is no trick, it is the natural law of the mind-body connection. We are suggestion-driven creatures, and the most powerful suggestions are those we give ourselves. This is why I encourage every listener to write down and repeat truths that counteract fear and doubt. If you say to yourself each morning, I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubts, and you say it not casually, but as if your very life depended on it, you will ingrain it into the fabric of your thinking. In time, you will come to believe it, and in believing, you will act upon it. The ancient philosophers understood that courage was not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. A soldier marching into battle feels fear, but his training carries him forward. An entrepreneur launching a new venture feels doubt, but her commitment compels her onward. A student facing examinations feels anxiety, but preparation steadies his hand. The difference between those who succeed and those who retreat is not whether fear and doubt exist, they always exist. It is whether the individual has trained the mind to march in spite of them. Think of your mind as a muscle. It grows strong through repeated use. Each time you act in the presence of fear, each time you silence doubt by affirming your purpose, you add another strand of strength to that muscle. Do not believe for a moment that the great men and women you admire were free of these shadows. On the contrary, they battled them daily. The writer facing the blank page, the leader confronting uncertainty, the pioneer setting sail into uncharted waters. What set them apart was not freedom from fear, but fidelity to their purpose. They knew the law that your rewards in life will always be in direct proportion to the courage you demonstrate in the face of fear and doubt. Say it with me now and write it upon your paper. My rewards in life will be in proportion to my courage. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Let it become a law for you, a guiding maxim that anchors you when the winds of uncertainty blow. Now let us not ignore the truth that fear and doubt often disguise themselves as reason. You will hear the voice say, "Wait until you are more prepared," or perhaps you should try something easier. This voice will sound logical, even protective. But understand, the line between prudence and procrastination is thin, and fear loves to hide behind caution. Train your mind to ask, am I truly unready, or am I delaying because I am afraid? That single question, answered honestly, can break the spell of doubt and push you forward when you might have stood still. Remember, the road of hesitation is paved with missed opportunities, while the road of courage is lined with lessons, growth, and eventual triumph. I leave you now with a practice to ingrain into your life. Each morning, before you begin your work, stand before your reflection and declare, "I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubts." Speak it slowly, deliberately, and with conviction. Then write it on your notepad. For what you write, you remember, and what you repeat, you believe. Carry this law into your day, and watch as fear loses its voice and doubt loses its hold. Train your mind daily, for the mind untrained becomes a prison, but the mind trained becomes a kingdom. The choice is yours, today and every day that follows. Fear and doubt, once recognized as illusions of the mind, must be replaced with something tangible and constructive if they are to lose their power over us. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human spirit. If you attempt merely to resist fear without installing a stronger thought in its place, you will discover it returns with renewed energy. The surest replacement for fear is knowledge, for ignorance is fear's greatest ally. When you do not know, you imagine. When you imagine without discipline, you create phantoms larger than life. But when you learn, when you investigate, when you replace uncertainty with understanding, the shadows shrink. The pilot flying through a storm is calm because he knows the laws of aerodynamics and trusts his instruments. The surgeon facing a complicated procedure is steady because years of practice have trained his hands. The same applies to you. Study your craft, deepen your understanding, and fear will find little foothold. Knowledge becomes the light that exposes doubt for what it is, a baseless suspicion. Yet knowledge alone is not enough. You must marry it to discipline. Fear often preys not upon ignorance, but upon the person who knows what to do yet fails to do it consistently. Consider the athlete who trains half-heartedly, who skips his regimen, who knows the price of excellence but does not pay it. Doubt will haunt his performance because he cannot trust his own preparation. In contrast, the disciplined athlete approaches competition with confidence, not because he is fearless, but because he knows he has paid the price. So it is in business, in art, in life. Discipline is the quiet builder of faith in oneself. Each day you honor your commitments. No matter how small, you strengthen your inner certainty, and certainty is the opposite of doubt. The way to discipline the mind begins with a daily routine. A routine may seem ordinary, but it is the framework within which extraordinary lives are built. Rising at a set hour, dedicating time to thought, to study, to purposeful work, creates a rhythm that steadies the spirit. Fear thrives in chaos, but order starves it. Write down your routine, commit to it, and let it become a law in your life. Remember this simple truth. Your environment is a mirror of your mind. If your desk, your schedule, your days are in disarray, your mind will reflect the same confusion, and doubt will multiply. But if your environment is ordered, if your time is structured, then clarity reigns, and clarity leaves no room for fear. Another key lies in expectation. Doubt is born when the mind expects failure. But if you set before yourself a vision so clear and feed it daily, you train your subconscious to expect success. Expectation is not wishful thinking, it is the mental rehearsal of reality. The actor rehearses until the performance feels natural. The musician practices until the piece flows effortlessly. You too must rehearse success in your mind until it becomes natural to you. Close your eyes each day and see yourself achieving the goal. Imagine the steps, the challenges, the solutions, and the victory. This mental picture, repeated with discipline, impresses itself upon your nervous system until you begin to act as though it were inevitable. And when you act with inevitability, fear has no room to speak. You may ask, what of failure? Is it not a real possibility? Of course, but failure is not the enemy. Failure is tuition paid for mastery. Doubt turns failure into a final judgment, but faith turns failure into feedback. Every great inventor, every leader, every pioneer has met failure not once but dozens, even hundreds of times. They did not see it as proof they were unworthy. They saw it as the refining fire of their vision. You must train your mind to see failure as a temporary detour, not a permanent destination. Repeat this maxim to yourself. Failure is never final until I surrender. Write it down now, say it aloud, let it burn into your thinking. For the moment you accept this law, fear of failure loses its grip, and you are free to attempt, to persist, and ultimately to succeed. Let us remember also the law of substitution. A mind focused on fear cannot simultaneously focus on faith. So when fear arises, substitute it. If you fear rejection, think instead of the opportunities that await with every new introduction. If you doubt your skills, think instead of the progress you have made already and the practice that lies ahead. Replace every fearful image with one of courage, every doubtful phrase with one of confidence. The human mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts with equal power. One will dominate. You have the power to choose which one it will be. There is another law worth engraving into your heart. The mind becomes what it consistently contemplates. This is why we emphasize affirmation, why we speak of writing down truths and repeating them daily. For repetition imprints belief, and belief drives action. If every day you feed your mind with images of defeat, your actions will mirror those images. But if every day you affirm, I live in courage, I act with confidence, I expect success, then your actions will align with those affirmations and your results will follow. Take a sheet of paper now and write this sentence in bold letters. I live in courage, I act with confidence, I expect success. Speak it aloud slowly and let it become your shield against the arrows of fear. Fear and doubt thrive in secrecy, in the silence of the mind. They lose strength when brought into the open. This is why it is valuable to share your goals, your affirmations, even your fears with a trusted partner, mentor, or journal. When expressed, fear often appears smaller than it felt. When examined, doubt often reveals itself as baseless. Do not carry these burdens in isolation. Seek counsel, seek fellowship, seek the strength of others who walk the path with you. Together the shadows shrink, and together courage grows. Now let us return to the essence. Training the mind. Training is not a one-day event, but a lifetime practice. Just as muscles must be exercised, just as skills must be practiced, the mind must be disciplined daily. Each thought is a repetition. Each affirmation is a set. Each action, in spite of fear, is a victory. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to courage the way steel is tempered in fire. Do not grow weary in this training. For the day will come when you face a challenge, and instead of fear, your first instinct will be strength. Instead of doubt, your first thought will be determination. That day will be the fruit of all your hidden labor. Write this final maxim of today's lesson, and speak it aloud as though you were engraving it into the very walls of your spirit. Failure is never final until I surrender. Let it ring in your mind, let it guide your steps, let it silence the voices of fear and doubt. For this is the truth. The man who refuses to surrender cannot be defeated. Fear and doubt can be weakened by knowledge, discipline, and expectation, but to fully overcome them, the mind must be given a higher allegiance, something greater than itself to serve. A man left only to his own strength may waver when storms rage, but the man who anchors himself to a principle, to a law, or to a purpose beyond his immediate feelings discovers an unshakable stability. It is the difference between a ship drifting in open waters and one that has dropped anchor in solid ground. The storms may come, the winds may howl, but the anchor holds. That anchor for you must be a vision of who you are becoming and the law by which you govern your life. Without it, fear will tempt you to abandon ship, and doubt will urge you to question your very course. With it, you can move steadily, even when the world is uncertain. The truth is that most people never take the time to define such a vision. They live by default, waking up each day to habits inherited from yesterday, never stopping to ask, who am I becoming? And so fear finds them unprepared, doubt finds them undefended. The man without a vision will always be subject to his emotions. The woman without a higher aim will always question her steps. But once you set before yourself a worthy ideal, once you declare to yourself, this is who I am becoming, and this is the law I live by, fear loses its sway. The mind begins to organize itself around the higher picture, and your actions find new energy. Let me ask you now, have you written your vision? Not a vague hope, but a definite statement of who you are and the life you are creating? If not, I urge you to do so today, for the vision you hold is the life you will live. Fear is quick to enter when vision is absent. Picture the farmer who fails to plant his field in spring. Summer comes and weeds fill the soil. Nature does not permit emptiness. In the same way, if you do not plant in your mind a definite picture of your future, fear and doubt will sow their weeds. The antidote is conscious planting, deliberate vision, daily reinforced. That vision, repeated and affirmed, becomes stronger than any fear. Say to yourself now and write it upon your page, I live by vision, not by fear. Speak it again until you feel its truth. For when your mind is trained to return to vision in every circumstance, doubt will wither and courage will grow. Another tool in training the mind is contrast. Place before yourself the reality of a life dominated by fear and compare it with the life shaped by courage. The fearful man wakes each day uncertain, hesitates at opportunity, avoids responsibility, and ends his years regretting what might have been. The courageous man feels the same hesitation but moves anyway, accepts responsibility, seizes opportunity, and ends his years with growth and contribution. The choice between these two lives is not made once, it is made daily, in every small decision. Do I act or do I delay? Do I speak or do I remain silent? Do I pursue or do I retreat? And each choice builds upon the last until a destiny is formed. Which life will you choose? The law is simple. Courage exercised today creates freedom tomorrow. Write it down, say it aloud, let it echo within you until it shapes your actions. It is also vital to recognize that fear and doubt are contagious. Spend enough time around those who complain, who hesitate, who avoid risk, and you will find your own courage weakening. The attitudes of those we spend time with seep into us like dye into fabric. If you would train your mind to courage, then surround yourself with those who live it. Seek mentors, seek companions, seek books and voices that speak of faith, vision, and determination. Guard your mind as you would guard your health, for just as you cannot drink poison and expect strength, you cannot fill your mind with fear-filled voices and expect courage. Choose carefully what you listen to, what you read, and with whom you spend your time, for as surely as iron sharpens iron, the people and ideas you absorb will sharpen or dull your courage. Doubt often disguises itself as humility. It says, I should not aim too high. I am not special enough. Who am I to attempt such a thing? But this is not humility. It is fear wearing a mask. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking rightly of yourself. It is acknowledging that you, like every human being, have been endowed with a mind capable of great thought and a will capable of great action. To diminish that gift out of fear is not humility, but neglect. Train your mind to recognize the difference. When doubt whispers that you are not enough, remind yourself, I am equipped, I am capable, I am worthy of the vision I hold. Say it now and write it. I am equipped, I am capable, I am worthy. Let this become your shield against the false humility of fear. Let us look at how fear and doubt operate in the subtle corners of daily life. You delay the conversation that needs to be had. You put off the project that could advance your career. You hesitate to apply for the opportunity because you fear rejection. Each of these moments seems small, but compounded over months and years, they shape a destiny. And yet the reverse is also true. Each time you act in spite of fear, you weaken it. Each time you speak in the presence of doubt, you strengthen courage. Success is not a single leap, it is a series of choices stacked day after day. The man who trains his mind to say, I will act now, builds momentum that no fear can stop. The woman who trains her mind to declare, I am ready, silences the voice of doubt before it can speak. Fear and doubt feed on delay, but courage feeds on immediacy. The longer you hesitate, the stronger fear becomes. The quicker you move, the weaker it grows. This is why so many breakthroughs in life come in moments of decision. A job is accepted, a business is launched, a relationship is begun. And with that one act, the spell of fear is broken. Train yourself to act quickly when your vision is clear. Do not allow fear time to speak. Do not grant doubt a seat at the table. Move and let momentum carry you forward. Write this down and say it aloud until it becomes a reflex. Fear dies when I act quickly. Doubt fades when I move with vision. This is the law of momentum, and it will serve you as long as you live. Let us close this part with a reminder of the higher truth. Fear and doubt are not enemies to be hated, but teachers to be mastered. They arise to challenge your vision, to test your resolve, to demand that you decide who you will become. Each time they appear, they offer you a choice. Retreat or advance, surrender or grow. And each time you choose growth, you weaken their hold and strengthen your soul. So embrace the challenge, for it is the forge of your character. Say it aloud with me now, and write it so that it is etched upon your heart. I live by vision, not by fear. I choose courage daily. and I grow stronger each time I advance. This is the law. Obey it, and your life will transform. Fear and doubt, when stripped of their disguises, are signals, not sentences. They are indicators that you are approaching the edge of your comfort zone, that you are standing at the threshold of growth. To misinterpret them as final judgments is to miss their purpose entirely. A person who feels no fear is not brave but unchallenged. A person who experiences no doubt is not certain but stagnant. Growth carries with it the natural tension of the unknown, and that tension often arrives dressed as fear and doubt. When you recognize them not as warnings to retreat but as invitations to advance, you begin to transform their energy into power. Imagine a miner deep in the earth, confronted with rock and resistance. The rock is not proof that treasure is absent. It is proof that treasure lies beyond. In the same way, the presence of fear is proof that you are on the verge of discovery, and the presence of doubt is proof that you are engaged in meaningful endeavor. The real tragedy is not that people feel fear and doubt, but that they let these feelings make decisions for them. Consider how many careers go unpursued, how many books go unwritten, how many businesses go unborn because fear whispered, "What if you fail?" or doubt suggested, "You are not ready." Whole lifetimes pass, and men and women reach their final days haunted not by the failures they faced, but by the chances they never took. This is the hidden cost of fear and doubt, not the pain of defeat, but the torment of regret. Ask yourself, which is heavier, the temporary sting of failure or the lifelong burden of never having tried? You already know the answer. That is why I say, train your mind to see regret as the true enemy. Failure is temporary, but regret is permanent. When you grasp this truth, you will lean toward action, for you will see that even in loss, you are gaining experience, knowledge, and strength, while in hesitation, you gain nothing but sorrow. Let us turn to the principle of identity. Fear and doubt thrive when you see yourself as fragile, inadequate, or unprepared. They vanish when you step into the identity of the person you are becoming. The subconscious mind obeys the identity you claim. If you say, "I am timid, I am weak, I am unsure," then your actions will conform to that belief. But if you affirm, "I am courageous, I am steady, I am growing," then your actions will begin to align with that identity. Identity is destiny. Train your mind to act as though you already are the person you intend to become, and in time you will be. When the athlete steps into the ring, he does not wait until the bell rings to believe he is a champion. He enters believing it already. When the leader rises to speak, she does not wait for applause to see herself as worthy. She claims it before a word leaves her lips. You must do the same. Speak it aloud and write it down. "I am courageous, I am steady, I am growing." Say it until your subconscious accepts it as fact. We must also consider the role of imagination. The imagination is the most powerful tool of the human mind, but it is a double-edged sword. It can create images of triumph that pull us forward, or images of disaster that hold us back. Fear and doubt are simply imagination turned against us. The man who imagines rejection will hesitate to ask. The woman who imagines defeat will falter before she begins. Yet the same imagination, when disciplined, can paint pictures of victory, of progress, of joy, and these images, impressed daily, will call forth courage. The key is to direct imagination deliberately. Set aside a few minutes each day to imagine yourself overcoming the very obstacles that now produce fear. See yourself walking into the room with confidence. See yourself completing the task with competence. See yourself receiving the reward of your effort. The mind does not distinguish between vivid imagination and reality. It prepares the body for what it sees. Use this law to your advantage. Here is a practice I urge you to begin tonight. Take a blank page and write at the top, "My identity of courage." Underneath, write 3 sentences that affirm who you are becoming. For example, "I act with calm confidence in every challenge. I meet fear with faith and doubt with discipline. I am becoming the person I was meant to be." Read these sentences each morning and each night. Speak them aloud. Let your imagination clothe them with images. In time, your subconscious will adjust. Your posture will change. Your habits will align, and your results will follow. This is the practical way to reprogram your identity and to starve fear of its fuel. Another law to remember is this: fear thrives in darkness, but courage grows in the light of exposure. If there is something you fear, face it in small doses until it loses its power. The swimmer who fears the deep does not overcome it by reading about water. He overcomes it by stepping in inch by inch until the water supports him. The speaker who fears the crowd does not find courage in theory. He finds it by speaking, first to 1, then to 10, then to hundreds. The entrepreneur who fears risk does not conquer it by analysis alone. He conquers it by taking measured steps into the arena. Fear is a liar, but it is a liar that grows quiet when confronted. Train your mind to act in spite of trembling, and you will discover that trembling fades. Write this down. I face my fears in small steps until they lose their voice. Say it aloud and let it become part of your training. Let us also consider the law of progress. Fear and doubt love to point to how far you still must go, how much you still lack, how distant the finish line appears. But progress silences them. When you can say, I am further today than I was yesterday, fear's argument collapses. Doubt cannot thrive in the face of measurable growth. That is why you must record your progress, however small. Keep a journal, track your efforts, celebrate each step forward. Do not despise small beginnings, for small beginnings are the seed of great achievements. The oak tree begins as an acorn. The river begins as a trickle. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Fear and doubt vanish when you can see evidence that you are advancing. Write this affirmation now. Each day I advance. Each day I grow stronger. Each day I defeat fear and doubt by moving forward. There will be times when fear and doubt rise suddenly without warning, like storms over a calm sea. In those moments, your preparation must be ready. This is why we write affirmations, why we establish identity, why we rehearse in imagination. For when the storm strikes, you will not have time to build a ship. You must already be at the helm. The law of preparation is simple. Courage belongs to the prepared. And preparation is not a grand event, but a daily discipline. Each affirmation written, each vision rehearsed, each small step taken in spite of fear is preparation. And when the day of testing arrives, you will stand steady while others fall. As we conclude this part, let me give you a declaration to ingrain into your heart. Say it aloud and write it boldly on your page. I act with calm confidence in every challenge. I meet fear with faith and doubt with discipline. I am becoming the person I was meant to be. Repeat it until it is no longer a phrase but a conviction. For when identity aligns with action, fear and doubt cannot stand. Train your mind, hold to your vision, and let courage guide you into the life you are destined to live. Fear and doubt weaken most when the mind is filled with purpose. A man or woman who knows why they rise each morning, who has a clear reason to labor, to study, to strive, will not be easily shaken by the tremors of uncertainty. Purpose is the fuel of courage. It transforms fear from an obstacle into a stepping stone and converts doubt from a barrier into a question that sharpens resolve. The individual without purpose will magnify fear, for he sees no larger reason to press on. The individual without purpose will surrender to doubt, for she has no deeper anchor than her emotions. But the man with purpose, the woman with vision, they endure, they advance, they persist. Consider the mountain climber who endures freezing winds and aching muscles. Why does he not turn back? Because his purpose pulls him upward. Purpose does for the spirit what oxygen does for the body. It sustains it in moments of trial. If you are to train your mind to overcome fear and doubt, you must begin with a definite purpose, clearly written and daily rehearsed. Without such purpose, your mind drifts, and drifting minds are playgrounds for fear. Think of the ship without a rudder. It is carried by every wave, every current, every storm. But with a rudder firmly set, it moves toward its destination regardless of resistance. In the same way, your mind, when directed by purpose, becomes immune to distraction and resistant to doubt. Write your purpose on paper. Speak it aloud. Memorize it until it rings in your thoughts without effort. And when fear appears, remind yourself, I have a purpose, and it is greater than fear. When doubt whispers, answer firmly, I know where I am going, and I will arrive. This practice, repeated daily, will ingrain purpose so deeply into your subconscious that fear will be forced to retreat. The purpose must not only be clear, it must also be worthy. A selfish aim, a shallow ambition, cannot withstand the weight of adversity. Fear will topple it, and doubt will erode it. But a purpose rooted in contribution, in service, in growth, gains a strength that no storm can overthrow. Think of the teacher who endures long hours for the sake of her students, the parent who works tirelessly for the sake of his family, the leader who sacrifices comfort for the good of his people. Their fears are real, their doubts arise, but their purpose carries them through. This is why you must choose a goal that stirs your soul, that calls upon the best within you, that serves not only yourself but others. For the law is this: fear cannot survive in the presence of service. Doubt cannot stand before a purpose greater than self. Write it down and say it with me. My purpose is greater than fear. My vision is greater than doubt. Let us also examine the role of gratitude in overcoming fear and doubt. Fear thrives on what might be lost. Gratitude focuses on what is already gained. Doubt dwells on insufficiency. Gratitude magnifies abundance. When you pause each day to give thanks sincerely and deliberately, you redirect the mind away from lack and toward plenty. Gratitude reminds you that you have already overcome trials before, that you already possess strength, skills, and opportunities. This remembrance builds confidence. The fearful man forgets his victories and exaggerates his weaknesses. The grateful man recalls his blessings and magnifies his strengths. Begin each day with gratitude and you will notice fear grow quieter. End each day with gratitude and you will find doubt less persuasive. Say this aloud now and write it upon your page. Gratitude is my shield. It turns fear into faith and doubt into determination. There is also the law of substitution at work in gratitude. The mind cannot dwell on fear and gratitude at the same time. One displaces the other. When you feel doubt creeping in, pause and name 3 things you are grateful for. When fear tightens its grip, stop and speak aloud what you have already conquered. In doing so, you reorient your thinking from anxiety to assurance. This is a practice, not a single act. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. Just as a muscle responds to repeated exercise, your mind will respond to repeated gratitude until it reflexively replaces fear with faith. Remember this phrase: fear fades in the presence of gratitude. Say it slowly, let it echo, write it on your notepad. With repetition, it will become a natural response to adversity. Fear and doubt often disguise themselves as caution, but there is a great difference between wisdom and worry. Wisdom prepares, worry paralyzes. Wisdom considers risk, worry exaggerates it. Wisdom strengthens resolve, worry weakens it. Train your mind to distinguish between the two. When you prepare diligently, when you think ahead, when you act prudently, that is wisdom. But when preparation turns into endless delay, when thought turns into rumination, when action is postponed indefinitely, that is worry, that is fear in disguise. Ask yourself daily, am I preparing wisely or am I paralyzed by worry? The answer will reveal whether you are being guided by strength or bound by fear. Write this law now: I prepare with wisdom, not with worry. Speak it until it becomes your standard. Another practice for overcoming fear and doubt is deliberate exposure. Avoidance strengthens fear while exposure weakens it. Whatever you consistently avoid gains power over you. Whatever you face loses its hold. If you fear rejection, practice asking until rejection becomes unthreatening. If you doubt your ability to speak, practice speaking until words flow naturally. If you fear failure, attempt enough times until failure becomes feedback instead of catastrophe. This is how you desensitize fear, by facing it, not by fleeing it. Each small exposure builds resilience, and with resilience, doubt dissolves. Write this principle: what I face, I conquer. What I avoid, I empower. Say it aloud and commit to action. We must also acknowledge that courage is contagious. Just as fear spreads, so does faith. When you stand in courage, you give permission to others to do the same. When you silence doubt with decisive action, you inspire those around you. This is why leaders must train their minds to courage, not only for their own sake, but for the sake of those who follow. Your family, your friends, your community, they draw strength from your example. And so your discipline in overcoming fear is not selfish, it is a gift. Say to yourself, my courage strengthens others, my faith uplifts those around me. Write it, repeat it, live it. For this truth will magnify your purpose and multiply your courage. Now let us close this part with a declaration of alignment. Speak it aloud and write it so that it may ingrain itself upon your heart. My purpose is greater than fear, my vision is greater than doubt. I prepare with wisdom, not with worry. I live in gratitude and I face what others avoid. This is my law, this is my standard, this is the path I walk. Each day I strengthen it, each day I affirm it, each day I grow into it. And as I do, fear and doubt fade like shadows before the rising sun. Fear and doubt, though internal in nature, are influenced heavily by the external world you allow yourself to absorb. The voices you listen to, the environments you frequent, the information you consume, all of these act as seeds planted into the soil of your mind. If you feed daily on news of disaster, gossip of failure, and conversations dripping with negativity, do not be surprised when fear and doubt grow wild within you. But if you nourish yourself with stories of courage, with words of faith, with knowledge that uplifts and strengthens, then your mind will naturally lean toward confidence. The mind is like a field, it produces whatever is planted. This is not opinion, it is law. Guard the gate of your mind as carefully as a farmer guards his seed. Write this principle and speak it with conviction. I choose the seeds I plant, and they bear the fruit of courage. Consider the effect of association. Spend time with the timid, and timidity will spread to you. Spend time with the doubtful, and their doubts will infiltrate your spirit. But walk with those who dare, and their daring will inspire your own. Walk with those who persist, and their persistence will fuel yours. No man is immune to influence. No woman is untouched by the attitudes of her companions. This is why one of the greatest decisions you can make is to choose carefully the company you keep. If you cannot yet find courageous companions, then seek them in books, in recordings, in mentors from history. Fill your environment with the voices of courage, even if they come to you from the written page or the recorded word. Say it aloud now and write it down. I walk with courage by walking with the courageous. Another tool to train the mind is silence. In a world filled with noise, silence is power. Fear and doubt often grow loud because we have never quieted ourselves enough to observe them. We rush from task to task, drowning in distraction, and in that noise our anxieties multiply. But when you sit quietly, when you allow stillness to settle, you begin to see fear for what it is, a voice without substance. Silence exposes doubt as nothing more than passing thought. Train your mind with moments of daily silence, 10 minutes each morning, 10 minutes each evening, where you sit without distraction, breathing deeply, watching your thoughts. In that silence you will discover that fear has no roots and doubt has no anchor. Write this law now. In silence I see clearly. In stillness I grow strong. Let us turn to the principle of preparation. Doubt often rises because we are unprepared. The student who has not studied fears the exam. The worker who has not practiced fears the task. But the prepared mind meets the challenge with calm assurance. Preparation transforms fear into readiness. Doubt says you cannot. Preparation replies, I have already rehearsed this moment. This is why I urge you to prepare diligently in every area of life that matters to you. Train your skills, study your field, anticipate your challenges. Preparation is the secret to confidence. Write it and repeat it. My preparation is my power. Fear cannot stand before a prepared mind. Now let us consider the law of perspective. Fear and doubt magnify themselves when viewed up close, but when placed in perspective, they shrink. Imagine holding a small coin before your eye. It blocks your entire vision. Yet when you move it away, you see it for what it is, tiny compared to the vast horizon. Fear and doubt are like that coin. When you hold them too close, they seem to fill your entire life. But when you step back, when you put them in perspective, you realize they are but small challenges against the vast canvas of your potential. Train your mind to step back. Ask, will this matter 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Most fears dissolve under such questioning. Doubts that seemed paralyzing reveal themselves as trivial. Write this truth: my perspective keeps fear small and doubt weak. There is also strength in service. When you focus too much on yourself, fear and doubt grow large. But when you turn outward, when you give your time, your skill, your energy to others, fear shrinks. Service pulls you out of your own head and places you in the lives of others. A fearful man thinking only of himself becomes paralyzed. But a man serving another forgets his fear in the act of contribution. A doubtful woman analyzing her worth may hesitate endlessly, but when she helps another, her doubt dissolves in the proof of her usefulness. Train your mind to see service not as charity, but as discipline against fear. Each act of contribution builds confidence. Each gift of service strengthens courage. Say it now and write it. In serving others, I master myself. Fear and doubt often borrow strength from the unknown. The darkness of uncertainty makes them loom larger. The antidote is curiosity. When you replace fear with curiosity, doubt with inquiry, you change paralysis into discovery. Instead of saying, what if it goes wrong? Say, what will I learn? Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will this teach me? Curiosity transforms the unknown into adventure. It makes risk into education. It turns hesitation into exploration. Train your mind to greet the unknown not with trembling, but with wonder. Write this maxim: I replace fear with curiosity and doubt with discovery. Let it guide your thoughts when uncertainty arises. Another practice is visualization of triumph. Not only imagine success in broad strokes, but rehearse in detail the very actions that now cause you fear. The speaker imagines not only the applause, but the sound of his own voice steady and strong. The entrepreneur imagines not only the profit, but the process of solving problems and serving customers. The student imagines not only the diploma, but the long nights of study completed with persistence. By rehearsing both the process and the outcome, you train the nervous system to see fear as normal and doubt as irrelevant. Visualization is mental preparation. It is rehearsal before reality. Write this law and declare it: what I see, I become. What I rehearse, I perform. Now let us seal this part with a declaration that ingrains these truths. Speak it aloud and write it upon your page. I choose the seeds I plant, and they bear the fruit of courage. I walk with the courageous, and I grow in their strength. In silence, I grow strong. In service, I master myself. I replace fear with curiosity and doubt with discovery. My preparation is my power. This is my training, this is my law, and this is the path I follow. Each day I affirm it, and each day I advance beyond fear and doubt into the life of courage I was born to live. Fear and doubt often gain their strongest hold when a person measures themselves by comparison. You look at another's success and doubt your own progress. You see another's courage and fear your own hesitation. Yet comparison is a thief, robbing you of confidence and replacing it with envy or inadequacy. The truth is that every life is unique, every path distinct. To compare yourself to another is like comparing the oak tree to the rose. Each has its own design, its own timing, its own beauty. The oak grows slowly, deeply, with strength that endures storms. The rose blooms quickly, brightly, with fragrance that delights. Neither is better, only different. And so it is with people. Train your mind to measure only against your own progress. Ask not, am I as successful as he, but rather, am I stronger than I was yesterday? Ask not, am I as courageous as she, but rather, am I more faithful to my purpose than I was last year? Write this law now. I measure myself only by my progress, not by comparison. Another way fear and doubt deceive is through the illusion of perfection. You tell yourself, I must have every detail planned before I act. I must be fully ready before I begin. This illusion paralyzes more dreams than outright failure ever could. Perfection is a mirage. It recedes as you approach. The great works of humanity, the cathedrals, the inventions, the discoveries, were not born of perfect conditions, but of imperfect men and women who began with what they had and refined as they went. Progress, not perfection, is the antidote to fear. Action, not endless planning, is the cure for doubt. Say this aloud and write it boldly. Progress is my aim. Perfection is an illusion. I act and I improve as I go. Let this law release you from the chains of hesitation. Let us turn to the principle of resilience. Fear often warns you that you will not survive the trial. Doubt tells you that one failure will end you, but resilience proves both wrong. Resilience is the capacity to endure, to rise after falling, to bend without breaking. It is the quiet assurance that no matter what happens, you will continue. When you embrace resilience, fear loses its threat, for you know that even if you fall, you will rise. Doubt loses its sting, for you know that even if you fail, you will learn. Resilience is born of perspective and practice. The child who falls 100 times before walking develops resilience. The apprentice who stumbles through mistakes before mastery develops resilience. And so must you. Write it down. I rise each time I fall. I learn each time I fail. Nothing can stop me who refuses to stop. Fear and doubt often strike hardest in solitude. The mind alone magnifies shadows, exaggerates risks, and entertains lies. This is why fellowship is powerful. When you share your vision with trusted companions, when you walk with those who encourage, when you surround yourself with people of faith and courage, your own strength multiplies. Isolation magnifies fear. Connection magnifies courage. The man who faces a trial alone trembles. The man who faces it with brothers and sisters at his side steadies. The woman who doubts herself alone hesitates. The woman who shares her doubts with a mentor finds reassurance. Train your mind to seek fellowship, to find allies, to build community. Say this now and write it. In fellowship, my courage multiplies. In connection, my doubts dissolve. We must also address the law of patience. Fear and doubt are impatient. They demand immediate results, and when results do not come quickly, they whisper that failure is certain. But patience is the shield that guards against this deception. Patience says, I am willing to endure, for I know the seed takes time to grow, the harvest takes time to ripen, the goal takes time to unfold. Patience silences fear by acknowledging the natural rhythm of progress. Patience quiets doubt by trusting that steady effort brings inevitable reward. Train your mind to accept the pace of growth. Write this affirmation: my patience protects me. I trust the process. I persist until the harvest comes. Fear and doubt also exploit fatigue. The tired body and weary mind are fertile ground for anxious thoughts. This is why rest is not laziness, but strategy. Just as the athlete must rest to grow stronger, the thinker must rest to stay sharp, the leader must rest to remain clear. Fatigue distorts perspective, making small problems seem insurmountable and tiny delays seem catastrophic. But a rested mind sees clearly, decides wisely, and acts boldly. Train your mind to honor rest as part of discipline. Write this truth: rest is renewal, not retreat. My strength is multiplied when I restore myself. There is another truth, often overlooked: Laughter weakens fear and joy dissolves doubt. A light heart is not a careless heart, it is a strong one. Fear thrives in gloom, but it cannot stand in the presence of joy. Doubt multiplies in heaviness, but it fades when the spirit is lifted. Learn to smile in adversity, to laugh even when things go wrong, to carry joy as a shield. The joyful man frightens fear, for he cannot be shaken. The joyful woman silences doubt, for she refuses to surrender her spirit. Say this now and write it down. My joy is my strength. My laughter is my weapon. With joy I overcome fear. Let us not forget that courage grows most when shared. Teach others what you are learning. Encourage them when they are afraid. Remind them of truths when they doubt. In lifting another, you strengthen yourself. In teaching courage, you confirm it within. The law is simple. Whatever you give multiplies. Give courage, and courage returns to you. Give faith, and faith is doubled. This is the discipline of legacy, the training of the mind that thinks not only for itself but for generations to come. Write this maxim: I multiply courage by giving it. I silence doubt by uplifting others. As we close this part, let us ingrain these truths with a final declaration. Speak it aloud and write it firmly upon your page. I measure myself only by my progress, not by comparison. Progress is my aim, perfection is an illusion. I rise each time I fall. My patience protects me, my rest renews me, my joy strengthens me. In fellowship my courage multiplies, and in service my doubts dissolve. I multiply courage by giving it. This is my law, this is my rhythm, this is my victory. Each day I affirm it, each day I embody it, each day I live it until fear and doubt have no home in me. Fear and doubt will never vanish entirely, for they are woven into the fabric of the human condition. They appear at the edge of every new challenge, the threshold of every worthy pursuit, the beginning of every untraveled road. But their presence is not a curse. It is a signal. It tells you that you are alive, that you are stretching beyond what is known, that you are entering territory where growth is possible. The mistake is not in feeling fear or hearing doubt. The mistake is in obeying them. A well-trained mind does not deny their voice. It acknowledges them, then moves forward regardless. This is the essence of courage, not absence of fear, but mastery of it. Write this law now. Fear may speak, but I do not obey. Doubt may whisper, but I do not listen. Say it aloud until it becomes second nature, a shield in every moment of decision. The life you desire lies on the far side of fear. Every man who has ever risen from obscurity, every woman who has ever achieved greatness, has walked through a doorway guarded by fear and doubt. They did not wait for the guardians to leave, they advanced anyway, and in advancing discovered that the guardians were illusions. The moment you step forward, the shadow vanishes. The instant you act, the whisper grows silent. You must see your life in this light. Every opportunity, every achievement, every destiny you seek is guarded by these shadows, and the only way through is to train your mind to act in their presence. Courage is the toll at the gate of greatness, and those who refuse to pay it remain forever outside. Say this to yourself now: I act in spite of fear. I advance in the presence of doubt. You must understand that fear and doubt are not only obstacles but also mirrors, revealing what you value most. You fear losing what you most desire. You doubt where you most long to succeed. Instead of resenting this, use it as guidance. Where fear arises, there lies your true calling. Where doubt lingers, there lies your greatest growth. The man who fears speaking in public often carries within him a message the world needs to hear. The woman who doubts her ability to lead often possesses gifts that will shape lives if she steps forward. Train your mind to read fear as a compass, to read doubt as direction. Write it now. Fear points me to my calling. Doubt directs me to my growth. This shift alone will transform your perspective forever. Let us remember also the law of persistence. Courage is not a single decision, but a daily discipline. One act of bravery is not enough to build a life of freedom. You must rise each day and choose courage again. You must face fear at every level of growth, and you must silence doubt with each new step. Persistence is the quiet hammer that breaks the stone. Each strike may seem small, but in time, the stone cracks. Each act of persistence chips away at fear, chips away at doubt, until nothing remains but the clear path forward. Say this aloud and engrave it on your page: I persist daily. My persistence defeats fear. My persistence silences doubt. It is vital that you see your life as a story being written. Fear and doubt are not the authors. They may appear as characters, but they do not hold the pen. You do. Every decision you make, every step you take, every word you speak adds a line to your story. The question is simple: will your story be one of hesitation or one of courage? Will it be marked by retreat or by advance? Train your mind to see yourself as the author, and you will take ownership of your narrative. Fear loses its power when you see that it cannot write your ending. Doubt fades when you realize it cannot hold the pen. Write this truth: I am the author of my life. Fear and doubt have no say in my story. The culmination of all this training is freedom. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from paralysis. Freedom from the invisible chains that bind so many. This freedom is not given, it is earned through disciplined thought, repeated affirmation, steady progress, persistent action. You will know you have attained it when fear may appear, but it does not halt you, when doubt may whisper, but it does not sway you. When you move forward with calm confidence, knowing that you are master of your mind, that freedom is the birthright of every person, but it is claimed only by those who train daily. Write this final law and speak it with all conviction. My mind is trained. I live in freedom. I walk in courage. I create my destiny. As you go from here, remember that the world does not reward fear, nor does it honor doubt. It rewards courage. It honors faith. It crowns persistence. The men and women who rise to greatness are not those who never trembled, but those who trembled and advanced. They are not those who never questioned, but those who questioned and acted anyway. Let your life be counted among them. Each morning declare your laws. Each day act in their power. Each evening reflect on your progress. In time, fear will find no foothold, and doubt will find no voice. Now let us seal this journey with a declaration to engrave upon your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Speak it aloud and write it boldly as though it were your oath. Fear may speak, but I do not obey. Doubt may whisper, but I do not listen. I act in spite of fear. I advance in the presence of doubt. Fear points me to my calling. Doubt directs me to my growth. I persist daily. I author my story, and I live in freedom. This is my law. This is my creed.